All right, everyone, welcome back into another Fantasy Golf video. My name is Polzin, going to be breaking down the outright bets for the US Open. All right, so to start, I do want to touch on this because last Wednesday, I had made some slight updates to the 9-to-5 data to try to find better formula for the outrights for this season, because I had noticed that there were a lot more what I call shoulder shrug plays, where these guys we shouldn't exactly be going out of our way to like roster them in DFS, and we're not exactly going out of our way to outright bet them. They're not really eye poppers too much. And so I kind of looked into that trend of this season, because last season, the previous season, it was just basically all these stud golfers were winning. And I don't know if the elevated field events have something to do with it, but for whatever reason, we have seen more shoulder shrug players win. So I want to go ahead and look at the data. And so I came up with this formula last week, and it is going to be a small sample size here, but we can see it was successful. Okay, so it went in, determined which golfers were going to be the best outright bets. So it nailed Rory, top 9. Terrell Hatton, who finished 3rd. Tommy Fleetwood, 2nd. Justin Rose, 8th. Corey Connors, who was in contention. And then Nick Taylor, and also Adam Hadwin, which is all great. Okay, so that's going to be part of what I'm looking at today as well. So just looking at that, based off of that criteria, these are the golfers that we'd be looking at potentially at the US Open. And obviously I'm going to dive into this a little bit further, but I did want to start out with this. Okay, so looking at the US Open, these are going to be the golfers that I called out specifically. So Sky Scheffler, number 1 on the top there, and then Rahm, Cantlay, Hovland, no shock there. Xander, Homa, Collin Morikawa. We got Terrell Hatton, Tony Finau, Hideki, and then the biggest shocker is that at the bottom of this graphic is actually going to be Siwoo Kim. Now, I did notice that those players that were possible outright bets and long shot outright bets also did pretty well as well. I don't know if any of them missed the cut. Okay, there were a couple. Keith Mitchell missed the cut. Cameron Young was terrible. Shane Lowry. So it wasn't like perfect in that regard, but it's nice to see that it was working. Like these guys that were long shot bets for the most part did struggle. So that was nice to see in that regard. And then you also had like Mark Hubbard that was right in contention. Aaron Rai, who's also in contention there. So I would say for last week, that was a good sample size of what we'd want to be looking at. And so what I want to do is I just want to take a look at kind of the studs for this week to see and determine which ones we would potentially want to be on, and then where would be the best outright bet to bet them based off of the 9-to-5 betting sheet. You know, we'll be able to tell which ones are going to be the best outright bet. And just looking at it right now, the favorites are going to be Sky Scheffler, Jon Rahm, Brooks, Rory, Cantlay, Hovland, Xander. And then we got Homa, Hatton, and Morikawa. Those are some of the other names that were popping up there. So let's just go ahead and take a peek at it. So let's start out with Scotty Scheffler, obviously the highest ranked player in the field, both salary-wise, odds-wise, and 9-to-5 data-wise. Okay, 7-1. Those are obviously going to be very tight odds, but for good reason. We can see that he has an average model rank of 7.8. Okay, that's phenomenal. Has 97% chance to make the cut. Also is a good first round leader play, and DFS wise not too overowned. But look at this. For all the key metrics that we look at, recent form, course history, which is going to be comp course history this week. If you guys are confused as to what I'm looking at in that regard, make sure to check out the first video from this week, the Core Plays video. Pretty much just looking at the last 2 US Opens, the PGA Championship from last year or this past season, and then the Masters as well. Basically, how have these golfers produced on those high caliber field events? Then also looking at the Genesis Invitational, because that was a comp course, really just because of the course designer, George C. Thomas, okay? And then also a little bit of Aaron Hills, just because I think that's the best comp course that we have, but he ranks top 6 there, number 1 staff hit, 3rd best specialist. So that play makes a lot of sense, right? Let's take a peek at Jon Rahm. So Jon Rahm, we are going to get some better odds on him. We get about a 10-1 odd on him there, okay? So pretty good stuff there in that regard. And if you look at Jon Rahm, he is also someone that is coming in checking all the boxes. 5th in recent form rank, 3rd in course history rank, 2nd best stat fit, 8th best specialist, and 2nd best pick in the 9-to-5 mile. The difference here is how much worse, and I say that with a grain of salt, play he is compared to Sky Scheffler. Let's dive into that a little bit more as well. So I put this in the 9-to-5 write-up. Both of those golfers are going to be golfers that have had confirmed course experience at this track. Okay, Scotty Scheffler played in this in the 2017 Walker Cup. Okay, that is good to know. Some other players, notable players, really just Collin Morikawa for this week's event. Will Zalatoris would have been one as well, but you know, we don't really have to worry about that. But looking at it, I mean, Sky Scheffler, just a phenomenal play across the board. We look at all the key metrics data, like nothing is showing him as a bad play. Like everything is shouting, play me. Okay. So he's someone I think we can firmly be looking at. Then we look at Jon Rahm, basically the exact same thing, except for his recent form has been a little bit worse. I mean, not really. Like there's not a big difference there, right? And then if we look at it with Jon Rahm, he played this tournament in 2013 when Max Homa won the Pac-12 championship in a surprising fashion, setting the course record. A lot of people did not see that coming from him. And so it is just nice to call that Jon Rahm has played this course before. And whether you believe or not, that's 10 years ago now. Like, it doesn't really matter too much. But at the same time, I do think there is some sort of mental aspect that gives him a little bit of an edge. It could be the difference maker. I would say maybe with Fitzpatrick, that was a confidence boost for him. It gave him a familiarity where it's just a mental boost rather than a competitive boost to have that little extra motivation, a little bit extra confidence. And that's kind of why I'm going to be calling those out, because I do think it's a good thing for them to at least have had that course experience. And we do see that those two players are going to be the top two outright options. So once again, let's just go ahead and look at those two. Are there any good spots in which we could get some good numbers on just those two players? Scotty Scheffler. Okay, Scotty Scheffler, the best line that we're going to get on him is literally 7-1, Bovada, FanDuel. So if you just feel the need to force him into a build, you can. Has a really solid average mile rank has a very straightforward line. Average line is 6.38. Okay, nothing too crazy there. The sportsbooks are giving him about a 13.54% chance to win. Like, his past 20 starts, he's won about 10% of the time. So they might be overvaluing him a little bit too much, but we kind of get why. Like, a little bit of course experience, I do think that gives him an edge, and obviously just been playing extremely well. Now we go ahead and look at Jon Rahm. There's a little bit of discrepancies across the board, but the average odds are going to be 10-1. Okay. So looking at it, maybe you want to bet him. If you were going to bet him, you would bet him on FanDuel at 11-1. Pinnacle, you could potentially do. I just have a bunch of different sportsbooks in here for, to give you guys the plethora of options there. So we know that those two people are going to, or those two golfers are going to be the top studs. We get that. Okay. Not really getting too crazy with it. Let's do a little bit of a deeper dive. So we got done with Scotty Scheffler and Jon Rahm. Let's go ahead and take a peek at Patrick Cantlay, Victor Hovland next. And so looking at Patrick Cantlay, we are going to have some discrepancies for the sportsbooks. So he's getting about a 6% chance to win. Look at his past 20 starts, he's won 5% of the time. And we are getting some good lines out there. I mean, 17-1, I feel like is a good number. Bovada 18-1. There are some good lines out there. Definitely don't bet him on William Hill. If you guys are one that shops around for the best odds, obviously FanDuel is typically one of the better places to do an outright bet because they're a little bit softer on average. So if we go ahead and look at a snapshot of Patrick Cantlay as a play this week, average odds 14-1. Recent form ranked third in the field, obviously spectacular there. Has had some great results on similar tracks. Should note, UCLA golfer, the event's taking place in LA. I would imagine that he has played this track before as well. That's going to bode well for him. He should be able to go out and play well. Fourth best stat fit, top 10 specialist. And if you guys are wondering what the specialist data means, that is going to be looking at the key characteristics for that week's tournament and put it into a data point. That's what we're looking at there. So he's really coming in, checking all the boxes. And then from there, we have Victor Hovland. Okay, Victor Hovland started the week out at 18-1 odds. That has some sense come down a little bit. Okay, but he is also someone that's basically checking all the boxes as well. The only worry is that not the best for comp course history. That being said, top 10 specialist, pretty good stat fit as well. Recent form race pretty solid there as well. So if you feel like Victor Hovland is going to be an outright bet, well, one, you could potentially first round leader bet him as well. But he is someone that is looking like he's going to be everyone's favorite, it seems like. I don't know if I particularly like it. Obviously, the data likes him. And so let's try to find a spot where we could bet him. It'd be Pinnacle, it seems like. That's where we are getting the best odds. And then DraftKings 18-1 odds as well. So, there are some spots where you can potentially use them as an outright bet still. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on. Let's take a peek at some of these other golfers. We got Xander, Homa, and Collin Morikawa. Okay, I do think that those guys are going to be good options. The question that I have, and let's go back to the write-up here, with Collin Morikawa is he healthy? He had a withdrawal from a recent event, and that worries me because he was someone that wasn't exactly playing well. Sure, he was trending in the right direction. We did like to see that, and he's going to be a much better stat fit than is Max Homa, but there is some worry there. This is a situation where I'm kind of glad that we have both outright betting, fantasy golf betting, and also fantasy golf PGA DFS, because I would say Collin Morikawa DFS wise, not the best play. Outright wise though, if he's healthy, could be a good play. You talk about that 2017 Walker Cup, he went 4-0 that week. Okay, so that's all good for him. And we are going to get some pretty good odds on him. I mean, not the best recent form, that does worry me, but he has played well on similar tracks as well. We look at that Genesis Invitational, both him and Max Homa had top 6 finishes there. So really good there. Could be a little bit better of a specialist, but once again, good stat fit. We like to see that. Overall top 12 pick in the 9-5 model. Wouldn't be shocking to see him go out and play well. If you guys want to bet him as an outright bet, it does make sense. I might not be able to end up on there. I think I would almost rather go with Max Homa here, who Max Homa started the week at 28-1 odds. Okay. Recent form wise, terrible. Course history rank, terrible as well. He just hasn't played well in majors. Okay. If you are making this bet, you are really betting on that Pac-12 championship, having that course experience. Now, I will say that this course could present an opportunity for a golfer like Max Homa, who actually doesn't shot shape his ball too much. And that's kind of the big talk about this week, is that golfers are going to need to shot shape their shot in order to be successful, which, could be true for a majority of golfers. But when I was looking at this course as well, I'm like, no, this really looks like a course where you need to put the ball in certain spots. It doesn't seem like you need to shot shape it necessarily. It's more or less you need to be accurate in hitting those spots. And Max Homa is pretty good at doing that. Now you got to be creative around the green and whatnot. But yeah, those two players, Max Homa and Collin Morikawa, I was personally a little bit shocked to see them being pulled up on this page. And so for what it's worth, I also do have this kind of added in here for this week. It's going to be the betting tag. We already had the DFS tag there. We had the betting tag. So let's just sort by those outright bets instead of looking at that picture. And so we can see Max Homa and Collin Morikawa, like, yeah, sure, it wouldn't be shocking to see them have that upside, but at the same time, it does worry us a little bit. I was a little bit shocked to see them being called out as a betting play, that the betting tag was taking them as an outright, although it does make somewhat. And another play that I'm looking at would be Tyrrell Hatton here. Tyrrell Hatton has really been coming in some great form. Let's take a peek at him as well. So for what it's worth, let's real quickly find the best odds for Max Homa. Okay, Max Homa 35-1 odds. If you like Max Homa as an outright bet, that is where you're going to be placing an outright bet on him. Once again, the reason to outright bet him is he has been a little bit hit or miss recently, but he is coming in off a good start, had a good start at the Genesis Invitational. Like, there are data points there that suggest he could be in contention to win. And if he is in contention to win, he probably has a good chance to close it out. I mean, that is Max Homa to a T. It's like almost these weeks in which you kind of start to write him off are the weeks that he goes out and wins and produces and closes out a W. So it does make sense. And in some regard, that has kind of been Collin Morikawa as well. Okay, Collin Morikawa, you can get at 40-1 on Circa. So, most people are probably not going to get that one. Pinnacle, about 38-1. So more likely than not, the best options would actually be maybe Bovada, but FanDuel, 36-1. Pretty good odds there. I mean, you look at the average odds, 32-1. So there is a good number out there if you guys think he's going to be a good bet. Okay, Collin Morikawa does make sense. He does have an early tee time as well, which you could bet him as a first-round leader. Typically, I like to look at those golfers for first-round leads. So now getting into those other golfers, let's take a peek at Tyrrell Hatton. Look at his outright odds. So Tyrrell Hatton, 31-1 are the average odds that we are getting on him. But we do see some, very big discrepancies across the board. And I find this super fascinating. William Hill has him set at 25-1. Interesting there. FanDuel 32-1. DraftKings 30-1. We are seeing peaks and valleys there, okay? There are some discrepancies there. That tells me that, for me, I have him as kind of one of the better values based off of the average odds that we were getting. And what I find interesting about Hatton is where he is priced, like DFS-wise, because it's definitely different than what he is priced on the outright odds. So looking at Hatton, he's coming in as a spectacular play. He really reminds me of Matt Fitzpatrick coming into the U.S. Open last year, where the signs were there, coming in great form, a great stat fit, maybe hasn't produced exactly the way you would want in past majors. Obviously, I would argue that, Collin Morikawa was in contention to win the PGA Championship, where Tyrrell Hatton finished 15th, but still not terrible there. But, he's coming in as a phenomenal play. Not that much worse of a play than Jon Rahm. I would say the difference between Jon Rahm and Hatton is Rahm's done it before, right? He's done it twice before. So, there's that at least. And once again, looking at first round leader rank, coming in as one of the better first round leader options with the early tee time. So that's another way we go about betting Tyrrell Hatton. Then real quickly, let's get into Xander Schauffele here. So Xander Schauffele, 18-1 odds to start the week. He's coming in checking all the boxes. If there was ever a week for Xander Schauffele to win a big event, it would be this week. Xander Schauffele is really due for a victory. He's just been playing too well for too long to not have a victory. Longest after cut streak, dominating. Look at this, guys. Second best recent form in the field. We look at course history rank. Once again, it's pulling in comp course history and everything in between. U.S. Open results, PGA Championship, Masters, best there. Stat fit wise, sixth best in the field. Specialist wise, sixth best in the field. Overall, third best pick in the 9-5 model. Very close to being a better play than Jon Rahm this week. Okay, let's look at that a little bit more. So we look at it, we're getting about, 17.43-1 odds on average for him to win. Okay, we look at his odds average, 5.34 5.43% likely to win. We look at his past 20 starts, hasn't won in there. So about 5%. Xander also has a little bit of California ties, if you will. Kind of my golden rule is when Patrick Cantlay is a good option, Xander Schauffele is going to be a good option as well. And I do like the fact that we are getting 19-1 odds on Xander Schauffele this week on FanDuel. That seems like a great bet. Obviously, you guys want to go Bovada again, 20-1 odds there. He's the third best pick in my model. Okay. Now my model does focus on safety and upside. So that is why someone like Xander would be popping up in there a little bit more. But to me, it does seem like these are kind of the top golfers right here. Scotty, Rahm, Brooks, Rory, Cantlay, Hovland, Xander. Then there's a little bit of a drop off. And so we are getting the last player kind of on that tier. And we're getting him at 19-1 odds, which to me is phenomenal there. So real quickly, let's go ahead and get back into that outright tag. We have some other players that I wouldn't say I necessarily agree with betting outright. Tony Fina, Hideki, and Siwoo Kim. Now, Tony Fina has really struggled in majors. It's tough to trust him in that regard, but we can see why. Good total driver, good ball striker, not making many mistakes. And the key stats this week are ball striking, total driving, effective birdie to bogey ratio, which is birdie to bogey ratio and bogey to avoidance combined, and then ranking that against the field. And then greens gained. So been very solid there. The issue, last two starts out, has not been there. But that was following a victory. I mean, he is coming in off of a victory over his last 4 starts. So the upside is definitely there, and he is a good stat fit. Like if Tony Finau puts it together, I mean, this is a longer track and everything, it wouldn't be shocking. I just don't know if we want to outright bet that. Now, let's go through the process. If you guys want to roll with that, you can. So Tony Finau, we are getting some pretty phenomenal odds on him if you like that stat fit. Average odds are 33 to 1.4. Or 33.4 to 1 to win on average. He has won a lot. I mean, look at this. Or his past 20 starts, he has a lot of wins, right? Vegas is only giving him about a 3% chance to win. And 40 to 1 odds, it's a little bit appealing. I could see why someone would want to outright bet that. I don't know if I probably just, I'm not touching him. I would be honest with you. I probably don't like it, but if you guys are seeing him as a great play and you want to roll with him, by all means, it does make sense. And we have Hideki. You know, this would be the theme from this season. You look at Nick Taylor winning, you look at Emiliano Grillo winning, some of these more recent winners where they're not bad plays. Okay, let's get that very clear. But they're not plays that are getting you excited. They're more or less like, all right, I have loaded up on too many players that have short odds. Let's find someone that has a little bit longer odds that, could potentially win. And it's literally, you end up on him, shrug your shoulders, you're like, yeah, I could see that happening. That's been the theme this year. And that's why I wanted to go through and kind of make those updated data points. Now, Hideki hasn't won in his past 20 starts. That does worry me a little bit, but we do get some great odds on him across the board. I mean, some of the sportsbooks are giving 57 to 1 odds for him. Circa, Pinnacle, those are good odds. Bovada, 50 to 1. Then we look at William Hill, 35 to 1, compared to FanDuel, 46 to 1. So there are some good lines out there for Hideki. And if the theme of shoulder shrug golfers winning continues, it wouldn't be shocking. I mean, look at this though. He has played well. US Open last year, 4th, 2 years ago, 26th. I mean, solid starts. Basically all the finishes have been top 30 or better finishes. And that's kind of my takeaway, is that I probably would just bet Hideki to, I don't know what the odds are for top 40. Let's take a peek at that real quick. Let's find the best bet for Hideki. How about it? Maybe top 20, maybe top 40. I haven't added the top 40 data into this just yet. Maybe top 20. Get some good odds there. I would say top 30 or top 40, especially if we're still getting plus numbers on them. I think that'd be the best bet to roll with there for Hideki. At the same time, there are some good numbers out there. Overall in my model, 13th, odds rank 20th. So there's a little bit of an edge there, okay? And then lastly, Siwoo Kim. I was really shocked at Siwoo Kim. I had to look into why Siwoo Kim was pulling up as someone that the outright formula was loving. And we get some good odds on him. Some 86 to 1, 71, 71. I mean, good odds out there. Average odds are 66 to 1. He has won over his past 20 starts as well. And so let's look at why. So Siwoo Kim, if we look at the pricing, I mean, he is priced down there, okay? But then again, there is some good stats to look at. I mean, top 26 stat rank play, top 30 specialist, pretty good form considering the odds and whatnot that we're getting. Does have a good first round leader rank as well. So there is a path where Siwoo Kim could be someone that you are looking at this week. And if we look at it a little bit further, we can see why. Based off the key stats, top 20 in ball striking, total driving, top 25 in effective birdie to bogey ratio, and also greens gained. coming in off of a good start, okay? Was in contention recently as well. Missed the cut in the number at the PGA Championship. The worry is that he has struggled in past US Opens and whatnot. That's the worry, okay? So if you want to play him, you can. Now let's just take a peek at some of these other possible outright bets. I don't think I need to touch on these into too much depth, but let's just take a peek. Rory, Fitzpatrick, Justin Rose. I think Justin Rose is a great outright bet. I'll just pull him up here on the 9to5 player profile for you guys. Like, he is coming in kind of just checking all the boxes. Some of that I think we should probably be ending up on this week. Just a phenomenal play. Definitely mispriced in DFS at least. And then Ricky Fowler, you know, it won't be shocking to see Ricky be in contention. I would argue this should be one of the best major courses for him to win an event. And you look at his local ties, he was born in Cali as well. Really, I think it was like 30 minutes away from Los Angeles. So that's intriguing to me there as well. Yeah, Wyndham Clark, who, you know, coming in off of a victory over his past 4 starts, no, wouldn't be too shocking, I guess. And then let's look at possible long shot bets. These are golfers that, data-wise, they match the threshold of some golfers that have won this season that were kind of outlier winners according to the winning data that I was looking at. Jordan, JT, Lowry, Sungjae Im, Tommy Fleetwood, Corey Connors. That's it. That's a short list, right? And so at least we are able to minimize the players that we're going to be on outright wise. Now, if you guys are thinking, well, what about the live golfers, Eric? I didn't see any of those guys. Good point. This was based off of the PGA Tour data. Okay, so I don't mind Brooks. I don't know if I'd want to bet him outright this week, though. Cam Smith, I also don't know if I want to bet him outright. I think they both make for great DFS plays. I just don't know if they're going to be good outright bets. So that's going to be all for this video. I know I didn't exactly give out an outright betting card. I will on Wednesday on Twitter. If you guys want that, make sure to check it out. I will say on my write-up, the players that I'm on right now for sure are going to be Xander, Cantlay, Hatton, Rose, and then there is some FOMO for me. I might be on Ricky. I'm probably going to be on Ricky. And then maybe long shot bet on Siwoo. We'll see. Homa, and then Morikawa. We'll see. I typically don't like to bet more than 5% of the field as well. My betting card has been less than that a majority of the weeks, actually. So we'll see. But thanks for watching. Let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.